Shine on, Rusty Jones.
Hi, I'm Rusty Jones, the one new car option that appreciates in value. With my gloss treatment, your car will shine on and on. I'll stay with you summer and winter, day and night, not even a coffee break, keeping your car shining on for as long as you own it. So it'll be worth more in trade-in time. Ask for me, Rusty Jones Car Saver System.
Shine on, Rusty Jones, shine on.
Entertainment Tonight. You'll find it weeknights.
All right. All right, White Moth, good job. All right. White Moth, all right, all right. All right.
The people you just saw on your screen were actually walking over burning hot coals. They did it with the help of this man, Tony Robbins, who's known as the Firewalking Guru. He claims that his revolutionary program can unlock your mind's hidden powers to help you overcome your deepest fears and reach your highest potential. Discover with us the secrets of Mr. Tony Robbins' unlimited power this morning on Twin Cities Live. They all want to walk on fire already. They want to walk on fire. I don't know about you, but that videotape, I mean, does it surprise you a little bit at home? I know that we have some people in here who have done this. Now, where are you? I know you told me before, Rachel, don't be bashful. If you're going to walk across coals, you're going to be bashful now? Stand up here with me for a second, and you look like a reasonably normal human being. You have a nice coat and tie on. Does your mother know that you're walking around on hot burning coals? What in the world made you do this?
I guess just the challenge of it, to try to overcome fears.
The challenge.
Challenge. I had a couple friends that did it. Otherwise, it would have been harder to do it.
Did it hurt?
No, not at all.
You didn't feel a thing?
It felt perfectly cool. No pain.
Perfectly cool. Did you feel any pain?
No, not at all. I felt quite a bit of nervousness going into it. I might admit that I didn't feel any pain at all.
Well, if you didn't feel any nervousness, I think there might be a little something wrong.
There was.
Yeah,
but no, there was no heat. You didn't feel any heat at all.
Did it change your life?
Yeah, it did. It did. It made me realize that you can do anything that you really think you can do.
Well, with us today is the man that has been doing this all over the country. Tony, you're making people walk over burning coals. Why?
Well, the purpose obviously is not to create some kind of social significance through the chance of walking over fire. I'm not looking to be a firewalk guru. The purpose of this is about 3.5, 4 years ago, I found myself in a place that I find a lot of people in their lives. And that is a lot of goals, a lot of dreams, a lot of passions that I really put my heart and soul into, and they didn't work out. And I had tremendous disappointment, tremendous frustration. And as a result of that, I began to develop a great deal of fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of success. And what happened for me is, out of all that stuff, I really sabotaged myself, and I stopped even trying to make changes until I came to a point in my life where I wasn't willing to live that way anymore. I got to the point almost 4 years ago where I was totally emotionally wiped out. I'd given up. I was disconnected from people, not feeling that connection. I had gained over 30 pounds because my major goal in life was what was I going to eat that day. And I was totally financially broke. I was living in a 400-square-foot bachelor apartment, washing my dishes in the bathtub because I had no kitchen. And what turned me around was not reading another positive thinking book. I'd read over 750 earlier in my life. I'd been to almost all the seminars. I'd been quote-unquote successful at an earlier age. But what happened is I learned about a technology of reprogramming the mind called neuro-linguistic programming. And it was the most advanced thing I'd ever seen in changing people in a short period of time. And I applied that and literally reprogrammed out my fears and found people that were succeeding, found out what they were doing, and basically modeled or duplicated their success and turned myself around. Emotionally, physically, I lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks, and financially, I went from being totally broke to a millionaire in a year and a half, basically by finding people, finding out what they were doing to go from being fat to thin, to going from being broke to being very well financially, to go from having terrible relationships to having excellent relationships, and taking the same kinds of actions.
Did you bring any coals with you tonight? Jump right in there.
The purpose, I'll just clarify, the purpose of the Firewalk was I was lecturing in seminars and I was telling people that with this science called NLP, you can program out any fear. Fear of rejection, so that now when somebody rejects you, you laugh or it feels good. Not positive thinking, but what's as automatic as pain used to feel, or where chocolate now feels like cough syrup. And when you make those kinds of statements, people go, oh no, you can't change that quickly. So what I did is, rather than have people intellectualize, I created a metaphor where I said, look, other people walk on fire. You're a human being. You just need to adopt the same kinds of beliefs, take the same kinds of actions, and you can produce the same results. And I figured if I give people an experience of that, of doing something they knew was impossible, as the one gentleman mentioned, then what happens is they begin to reevaluate and they go, God, if I can do this simply, this thing I thought was totally impossible, maybe an ideal relationship is possible. Maybe I can change the kind of work I'm doing. Maybe I can have the family that I want.
Now, I don't want to be a doubting Thomas because, I've read the book.
Yes.
And really, I told the audience earlier, I got two different impressions of you. The Firewalk came to me as I looked at the tape, and I remember when the story was covered on the news, as a gimmick that, you're walking probably on some wet grass before you hit the coals. It's a short amount of time on the coals, and it's used as a device maybe to get the attention of the people you want to reach. Then when I read your book, you've got some good, solid advice in there. And do you feel that now you'd like to shed that firewalking image and maybe go more on the image that one would receive from reading your book?
Well, I use the Firewalk as a dramatic example, and I'm still doing that seminar. So I don't want to shed it completely because I think it's powerful, and it's not a gimmick. We do 40-foot firewalks where people take mesquite wood and they walk from here to the wall. But I would use skydiving if I could get 500 people above Minneapolis, so they'd have a chance to use what they've learned. The whole point is to be able to take yourself from being totally
fearful. You'd give them a shoot, though, wouldn't you?
Yes. The whole idea is to take them from being totally fearful to taking new action. And I did write the book for the very purpose of taking away some of the false impressions of we're teaching somebody psychic skills or telling them we're teaching a mind over matter, because that's never been what I've been teaching. It's been about how to reprogram your mind so you can take charge of your life.
Now, you're talking about this working on just ordinary people, and that it's not any kind of hypnosis or anything like that. We're going to get more into the specifics that come out in the book. But you have done this with reputable people such as the United States Army, such as an Olympic swimmer. Tell me about some of the people that you've worked with and some of the successes that when I read the book, I was quite surprised to find them in there.
Basically, with NLP, what we're learning is that human beings behave the way they feel, and that we can change our feelings, our state of mind and body, at will if we're in charge. Oftentimes in situations we do things, and after we do them we go, oh God, I can't even believe I did that, and we stick our foot in our mouth. But yet there are other times in a similar situation where we do something and everything just flows perfectly, where we can do no wrong. Now with the same people, the difference is our state. So by understanding how to control your state of mind and body, which is what we teach, you basically can take charge of your life. I took Ken Blanchard, who wrote the book The 1 Minute Manager. He's an avid golf fan. He pays a guy $25,000 a year to follow him around and work on his golf game. He took 3 strokes off his golf game after working with the best instructor in the United States. I worked with him for an hour, and he took 15 strokes off his golf game. The United States Army, I went to a general there, and I said, General, through modeling success, I can take any training program you do in the entire Army training, anything, and cut the training time in half and increase the competency. He said I was crazy. I said I was expensive. We argued. When we were finally done, though, what I said is only pay me if I get the result. And all I ask from you is whatever project you give me somebody who's the best at doing it. I'll find out what makes them the best and show you how to train the average person so that they produce that kind of result. And in every single case I worked with the Army, including a pistol shooting program, I was able to cut the programs not by half, but by 3/4 of the time, and I was able to increase the competency. On the pistol shooting program, for example, I've never shot a gun before in my life, but I found out what these pistol shooters believed about shooting, their mental strategy, things they didn't realize they did, how they use their bodies, and basically I learned by their experience. And instead of spending 20 years, I took the best of what they learned, put it into a training program, taught other people how to think and behave like them, and the Army took this 4-day program they worked on for 10 years, and with my instructions, they made it a 1-day program, and instead of qualifying only 70% and having 30% fail, 100% succeeded.
You convinced the United States Army, but I'm sure there are a lot of people that look upon you and say, hey, here's another nice, good-looking guy, and you've got flashy clothes, talks smooth, another inspirational seminar guy, and he's out to get into our pocketbooks and that sort of thing. How do you get over that hurdle, and do you get that comment a lot from people? Because at one time with the firewalking, I would imagine some people would say, well, what is this, a religious cult, or is it, you know?
Yeah. Unfortunately, with the Firewalk, it had its advantages and disadvantages, and I wrote the book to clarify that. And what's happening with the book now is I have not had one negative review on my book in the entire United States. It's only been out 4 weeks. It's sold 100,000 copies and is a bestseller, and it's word of mouth. It's people that are going out and taking lifetime challenges or phobias, as well as things that have been bugging them for a day or two, and changing them in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and they're telling their friends. So
I think that's the amazing thing, is that how quickly.
The speed is what grabs most people.
In auditioning, I'm an actor, and in auditioning for a play or something, I get nervous, or I'm afraid to audition. How could I get over that fear? You know what I'm saying?
Sir, first of all, when you sit down with your brother or a friend and you wanted to audition, you don't feel nervous, do you?
No.
So the truth of the matter is that you only change your behavior when the state of your mind changes, and that state change is triggered by seeing a critical audience of some sort. So all you have to do is link up so that when you see your critical audience, it makes you feel or be in the same state of mind as you are when you're with your brother or a friend. Now, how you do that, there are dozens of ways in my book. Let me give you the simplest way. Did you ever study Ivan Pavlov when you were in school? He was the man who had these dogs, and what he did was they were hungry, they hadn't eaten for several days. He'd put meat in front of them, which would trigger them into a state of hunger. Now they've changed their state. While they're in this state of hunger, he rang a bell, and he did it consistently while they were feeling these certain sensations in their body, until what was linked to the sound of the bell was the feeling of hunger. Now he takes away the meat. The dogs don't have saliva. He rings the bell, instant saliva. Now you can use, I know this sounds simplistic, how does this work with you? No, you're not a dog, but you can use the same techniques. Pepsi-Cola is doing the same thing as on television. If I tell you you can change this in 15 minutes, most people go, no way. But see, Pepsi-Cola just hired Michael Jackson. They're paying him $15 million for 180 seconds of his time, and he doesn't even use the product. And they'll do the same thing you need to do. They use his music to get you in an up state. As soon as you're in that up state, they go, Pepsi. Then they show his face with a certain look on it, and then they go, Pepsi. Then they show his glove, and they go, Pepsi. And they keep doing those things until you associate, when you see Pepsi, having the same feelings that you now feel for Michael Jackson. So how do you do this with yourself? You put yourself in a state where you feel excited or relaxed or centered or whatever you want to associate it. And while you're in this state, feeling it exactly as you do when you're really excited and feeling great, you see in your mind, or you imagine seeing a critical audience. Then you put yourself in an even better state, and you see that same kind of critical audience. And you do it again and again, and within about 4 or 5 minutes usually, maybe 10 or 15 maximum, when you see a critical audience, it'll trigger you to relax and feel great. It's that simple. It's being done well, we're going to break for a commercial in a few minutes, and you'll watch it happen again. That's what products are doing.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about the 7 traits of success. There is a laid-out program on how to be successful in Tony's methods when we come back on Twin Cities Live.
Now there's something new at your local weight loss clinic. It's the Fast Finish program. Only $49. It's designed for people with pounds, not time to lose.
Look at her. Doesn't she look great?
So thin.
At the clinic, Pat Shermone lost 71 pounds and went from a size 22 to a 12.
All my friends really noticed the difference, and my husband is so proud of me. Thank you, Weight Loss Clinic. Now that I've lost weight, my favorite things in life are a lot more fun.
At the Weight Loss Clinic, Bonnie Hageman lost 74 pounds and went from a size 22 to a 14.
I feel attractive now, and my husband is very proud of me. Thank you, Weight Loss Clinic.
If you have pounds, not time to lose, get the Fast Finish program for only $49 at any weight loss clinic. It can help you lose up to 5 pounds per week. This special program is available for a limited time only, so call today. Remember, only Weight Loss Clinic can give you the Fast Finish for your weight problem. Call now.
Father Flanagan, you've got dirty dentures.
Heavens!
I just soaked them.
Soaking's not enough. That's why your dentures are dirtier than they should be. Brushing with Denture Cream cleans denture film much better. Look, when tested against Efferdent, Denture Cream denture toothpaste gets dentures much cleaner.
Nearly twice as clean.
So don't get caught with dirty dentures. Brush them clean with minty-tasting Denture Cream or mouthwash fresh Denture Gel.
It's a miracle.
When it comes to an election year, Minnesota can count on the largest voter turnout in the nation. Now, that's a Democratic tradition we can all be proud of, and one that's sure to continue with the September 9th primary.
Do your part of the polls and then watch us do our part. You'll find primetime updates on the key races and an expanded newscast at 10 with Stan and me and the Eyewitness News team.
The best voter turnout in the nation and the most complete election coverage on your dial. Traditions you'll find only in Minnesota and on Eyewitness News.
I'm sure a lot of you remember the trend-setting movie from 1979, Kramer versus Kramer. Opened the door for a lot of single, divorced, and abandoned men who wanted to seek legal and full custody of their children. On Friday's Twin Cities Live, you'll meet 4 men who did just that and are now both mom and dad to their children on a full-time basis, and it's a tough job. Call us right now at 641-1298 and reserve your free tickets for Friday's Twin Cities Live. If you're a single father, if you know someone who's a single father, come down, be in the studio audience, and join in with us as we share the joys and the frustrations of single fathers. Okay. Tony, you believe that there are 7 traits that are found in successful people and are necessary for success. And let's go through those, if you can give me those quickly. I'll read them off, and then I'll let you talk about them. Passion, belief, strategy, clarity of values, energy, bonding power, and mastery of communication. Let's start it with passion.
Well, first of all, I want to clarify that all of us, our whole lives, have been doing this thing I call modeling. That's how we learned the English language. We imitated our parents. And unfortunately, a lot of us also imitated a lot of negative things from our environment, some of the insecurities, some of the fears of our environment. So looking for people that succeed long term, I was looking for character traits that cause them to continually succeed. And what I found is these 7 are at least the foundation. I'm not saying these are the only 7. Number 1, as you say, is passion. People who succeed long term have found something that gets them up early and keeps them up late, something that gives their life juice, a meaning, a purpose. And one of the most important things for anyone in life, above and beyond anything else, is to have a reason to use who you are. If you don't have that, you're not going to be able to tap all of who you are as an individual. So that's the first one. Second one is belief. I don't care who you are. If you don't believe you can succeed, most people won't even attempt. And beliefs control how we respond to our world. A lot of us have had examples where somebody says to you, hey, can you go in the kitchen and get the salt? And as you start to walk in there, you think to yourself, I don't know what a salt is. And sure enough, you open the cupboard saying, I don't know where it is. You look up and down, and you finally go, it's not here. So the person walks in the kitchen, stands right next to you, points right in front of you and goes, what's this? And you go, the salt. And they say, why didn't you see it? And you said, I don't know. I can tell you why you didn't see it. Your eyes saw the salt, but your brain did not allow you to perceive that it was there because you had installed a belief in yourself that it wasn't there. So it's critically important that we adopt the beliefs that support us in taking consistent action that makes success happen. Thirdly, I don't care how much passion or belief you have, if you don't have a good strategy for success, it's not going to happen. Positive thinking is not enough. My best metaphor for it is if you're running east looking for a sunset, you got a problem. And the point of this is that if you will find, for example, in my life, here I was financially poor, emotionally and physically poor, meaning gained a lot of weight. The way I changed that is I found people who made those changes and found out exactly what they did. I found out their strategies. I decided I'd learn by their experience and save myself a lot of time. So we teach in the book how to develop strategies for success in each of the areas of life. Fourthly, you've got to know what your values are. Meaning specifically, values are those deep emotional beliefs we have about what is right and wrong for our lives, what we should and should not do. The problem for most people is they have a general idea of their values, but not a specific idea. So they have this great idea, great passion, great belief, great strategy, but what happens is they begin to sabotage their own success. Because as they're going for it, there's a part of them that says, if you succeed, you're not a good person. They got a value clarity. Or they say, you want to make a difference in the world, but you also want to lie on the beach and get tanned. or you want to be the best business person there is and you want to spend 90% of your time with your family. And until a person clarifies these value distinctions, if they don't, they get this inner sense of frustration or anger or things can't work out. And what most people do to change their state of mind is they go to drugs. You know, we spend $100 billion on illegal narcotics in this country every year. Or they go to alcohol, or they overeat, or they smoke, or they do something else to try and change how they feel, and that won't change it long term, and that has its own negative side effects. So you've got to get clear on your values. Number 5, you've got to have what we call bonding power, the ability to connect with other people, to create that sense of rapport. Whether you're talking about a Spielberg or a Springsteen, a Ronald Reagan, a Ted Turner, a Tina Turner, a Harvey McKay here in Minnesota, all these people have the ability to bond. I got here last night at midnight, and Harvey McKay, who I've talked on the phone to once, is there to pick me up and take me on this tour. And this man in this city, I know, and in this state is incredibly successful. I don't know him, but that's the kind of human being he is, because he's understood that no matter how successful you become, what we all want is a sense of connection. What we all need is a sense of connection. If you make it to the top of Success Mountain by yourself, you'll probably jump off. So there are ways, though, that you can connect instantly with people, even before you open your mouth, where there's... Haven't you all in the audience had a time in your life, for example, where you walked into a room and instantly you had that connection with somebody? You'd never met him before, but there it was. Well, there's a way to make that happen consistently, and I'll share that later if you'd like. 6th, you got to have energy. None of the stuff works if you feel lousy, because you won't use it. When we feel tired, we don't usually jump up in the morning and go, oh boy, what another great day to go out and change the world. We usually go, oh God, not another Monday. So we teach in the book how to eat, how to breathe, and how to do a 10-minute non-stressful exercise to maximize your personal energy level so you use more of who you are. Finally, number 7, mastery of communication. How you feel about yourself and your world is not determined by what happens to you, but rather by how you communicate to yourself. In other words, nothing in life has a meaning except the meaning you give it. I have a friend who spent 7 years in a POW camp in Vietnam in solitary confinement. And he came out happier, stronger, more spiritually alive than he ever was in his lifetime, and said he wouldn't trade it for anything. And the reason is, while he was in there, while his friends, some of them were going crazy, he mastered the way he communicated to himself so that everything he turned into an advantage. People who think that, hey, when I go out and make all this money, when I'm this successful, then everything's going to feel good to me, are usually disappointed. Almost all of us have had a goal that we really went for, and then we got it and we went, is this all there is? Because the key is not what you get, but what you become. Lastly, out of mastery communication, if you want internal joy, if you want a sense of accomplishment, that's how you communicate to yourself. If you want external success, you want to be a business success, you want to help your children, you want to succeed financially, then that's determined by how you communicate to other people. So these 7 in the book, we show you how to install, how to find your passion, how to find the beliefs that limit you and change them, how to discover a strategy for success, how to get clear on your values, how to make sure that you develop rapport quicker, how to maximize your energy, and how communication strategies for directing your life.
Do we have anybody here that has all 7? Is there anybody here? Well, Tony's here, so we have at least one person. We're making a good start here. You mentioned you have some exercises and you have different devices that you use for people to be able to get beyond their fears and beyond their goals that they set. That, you know, is it the problem that we have a lot that we set a goal and maybe we don't set it high enough because we put limitations on ourselves before we even come out of the starting gate?
I think most people don't even get it to the point of the goal. I think for most people it's an interest. And there's a major difference between interest and commitment. Because a lot of people say, well, I really want that, but what they're really saying is I'm interested in that. Because when one gets very committed to something, the tools are available to make a difference. The reason most people don't get committed is they really don't believe they can do it in the first place. They've got all this internal dialogue maybe that stops them. And what they try and do, most people, is try and fight it. I don't know how many of you in the audience have had that experience where you say, I'm going to go for this goal, and then this voice starts going, who are you kidding? You know? Or it says, you can't do that. And if you try and fight it, then you have this internal turmoil. So in NLP, we teach you how to reprogram that inner dialogue that limits you. to this chair. Real simple. This is just a metaphor for how our brains work. If you just put your feet together and point straight ahead as far as you can, comfortably, and what I want you to do is, when I say now, is I want you to turn as far as you can turn, keeping your feet straight, comfortably, without straining yourself or pushing yourself, and just notice where your finger ends up pointing. Just go ahead, real comfortable, and notice where you end up. And right in the nose of the person next to you. Just go where it's comfortable. Okay? Now come back forward. Now drop your hand and close your eyes. And we'll do something real simple. All we're going to do is imagine in our minds doing the same thing, only going twice as far and having it be very easy. So right now, imagine in your mind, feel as if, don't actually do it, but feel like you're doing it. Imagine doing the same thing again, only going much further and having it be very easy. And then imagine doing it again in your mind, where you actually feel your body. It's not actually happening, but you feel as if it is. Where you turn again as far as you can, you go much further, and it's very simple, it's very comfortable. Okay, now open your eyes. And with that simple little change in your mind, do the same thing again and go as far as you can go comfortably and see if there's a major difference. Go ahead. How many of you can see a major difference in the distance you went? Raise your hands. Anybody not see a major difference? So 2 people, 3 people out of the whole audience. You can go ahead and have a seat. So the point of this is real simple. Most of the limitations that we have in life have to do with the fact that we've never gone farther in our minds, so of course we don't go any further in our actual life. It all starts in your mental process. So in the book, we're teaching you many ways to expand what you're capable of doing in your mind, so then your life begins to demonstrate that as well. There was a great study done at Yale University in 1952 where they took the graduating class members and interviewed them in detail. And one of the things they found out was that less than 3% had lifelong goals set for themselves with a strategy for their attainment. And when they went back and interviewed these people 20 years later, 1972, they interviewed the surviving class members, they found out some interesting information. A lot of stuff was anecdotal, but one thing was measurable. The 3% who had written goals when they left the university for their life with a strategy for its achievement, they were worth more in financial terms than the entire 97% combined. Now, finances are not everything, but it's one way of measuring a person's ability to produce the result that they intended in advance. And what they did is they extended their brain in advance, if you will, so that when they went into their life, they had already created the kind of results that they wanted. So that's my metaphor for it.
Go ahead.
How long did it take you to learn how to walk on fire right without burning yourself?
It took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours where I spent time with a man and I found out what he believed, and I found out what his mental strategy was and how he used his body to keep from being fearful. And you could walk on fire. I've had 35,000, look at her face. I've had 35,000 people walk, everything from 4-year-olds to 87-year-olds. All it takes is changing your belief and taking new action. And anyone can do that, and we teach you how to change your belief so that the same fear of rejection or failure or the dentist, maybe in your case, that used to stop you, now you're able, in spite of that, to take action that helps you to get your life the way you want it to be.
Right over here. Let me stand right up. Go ahead.
Are you using a form of hypnosis when you do all this mind control?
No. Yes and no. No from the standpoint of no.
Yes and no. Which is it?
Let me tell you what I'm talking about. Traditional hypnosis, no. But the truth is, people are in hypnosis most of the time. When people say they're learning to become a hypnotherapist, I laugh. Because my question is not, can you get people to go into a trance, but can you get people out of a trance? Most people live in it. Watch people when they go in an elevator or when they drive, or when they watch television. Most people are in a trance right now. So the question is not, is there any hypnosis involved, but rather, are we using it traditionally? No.
You get me in a trance. We'll be back right after this with the unstoppable Tony Robbins.
Do you guys pick out your own clothes in the morning, or does your mom? Either one. What do you mean? Our dog does. Your dog does? Come on, we'll show you. Give me my pants. Good boy. Now go get my favorite overalls. Hey, Bob, where are you going? I'm going to ask my mom to get me a dog just like yours.
Hush puppies, clothing for girls and boys.
We help millions of kids get dressed every day.
I love lunchtime because I get to have my Speed's Farm 100% pure juice, and it's convenient for your kids to take to school in their lunch boxes. And remember, if you can't brush after each meal, comb. Get dressed. It's here somewhere. Ah, I knew it was here. Speed's Farm juice. No sugar, no preservatives, no artificial anything, just good stuff goes in here. Get your own Spees Farm. This is mine. Spees Farm, 100% pure, natural juice.
Now announcing CityLine, an instant information service that's free and available 24 hours a day on your touch-tone phone. The news, weather, and sports on CityLine are provided by KSTP's Eyewitness News Team. All you need to do is call 645-6060 on any touch-tone phone.
Welcome to CityLine.
Then enter the 4-digit category of your choice.
Thanks for calling CityLine Weather. We've been talking about rain for a long time.
Remember, CityLine is free, so call today, 645-6060.
They say that travel broadens you, but reading deepens you. It also informs you and helps you, moves you, entertains you, and enlightens you. Your mind never outgrows its need for ideas. So when you want to find out more about your world or about yourself, turn to the printed page, where you just might discover that reading gets you where you want to go.
Well, as you all know, we recently witnessed one of the greatest celebrations ever when the Statue of Liberty turned 100 years old. That was just magnificent. But it was not only a great birthday party, but a reminder of what this country really means, a reinstatement of the American dream. Now, next Tuesday on Twin Cities Live, it'll be a great show. We'll meet 4 people who made that dream come true. Join us in our studio audience. We'll have Leanne Chin here, Horst, many others, and we will hear their stories and share with you, and you can come in and share with us in the studio audience, 641-1298, The American Dream. And a reminder that starting next week, Twin Cities Live will air 1 hour later at 10 a.m. So you'll have plenty of time to join us in the studio and at home and share with you our story of the American dream come true. I can't get his body posture right, Tony. I don't know. He wasn't listening earlier, were you?
Okay, got 2 parts to the question. First, to me, I see it's almost a conflict between the firewalking and your approach to success. Your approach to success is very objective, trying to find the variables that would produce success. But the firewalking seems like a hype, to me, the compatible one, if you're to teach people to overcome fear of firewalking, would be to show them the physical dimensions of speed across the fire, wet the feet, all this kind of thing. So I see a conflict between the two. So I'd like to hear a comment there. Sure. The second one is, if I could, the reason I'm here is I've read about you in the Skeptical Inquirer, a person by the name of Plummer who said you didn't go to Australia because of this. I've all this background of being the big psychic pusher, and I haven't heard a psychic thing all night. So those two, if you could hear.
First of all, I mean, the Skeptical Inquirer, I know about the article. What they're saying is I'm telling people they have mystical powers or mind over body, and I've never said that. In fact, the gentleman who came to my seminar, I encouraged him to walk in spite of going through the seminar because I said all you got to do is change your beliefs. But I selected the firewalk because, for me, it's very specific. What I did is I took something that I thought was impossible by my own realm, and I thought other people thought were impossible, and until 3 years ago, nobody thought was possible, including some of these Skeptical Inquirer people. And I went out and did something by finding out what this man believed, who walked on the fire, what he did in his head, what he did with his body, to do something that seemed to be impossible. And what I did, and the whole point of it, is to show people that the impossible is possible, that it's no more impossible than anything else in your life is impossible, that anything that any human being can do, so can you and so can I. And I'm very specific in how I teach how to change your state. And I also make it clear when people first come to my seminar, I say, how many of you came to walk on fire? And I get a big show of hands, and I go, you can leave because that's not what this seminar is about. And that makes them laugh, but I say that's also serious. I could have you walk on fire in 5 minutes. All I got to do is get you to change your belief and take action. And people who, the reason I wrote the book was to clarify for people who've been a Skeptical Inquirer saying, boy, he's giving these people this false sense that they're doing something miraculous, and they've come up with explanations for the firewalk. But the truth is that happened 3 years ago, and the same people who promoted those theories no longer support them. All I'm doing is giving people a real-life example. Rather than intellectualizing and going, wow, I understand this stuff, I want them to feel fear, staying in front of those coals, and change how they feel and take action. Because it's the very thing that stops them in their lives. That same fear, not willing to take action. And I'm showing them how to change that, and instead of kidding themselves, do something with it. And they don't have to
get out
walk
there and
on
they
the fire.
jump on the coals. I'm going to jump right in there because I want to get a couple more questions in. Go ahead.
Okay, what do you do about fear of flying?
A lot of people have that.
There's a very simple technique in the book that I offer, which is how to eliminate, if it's a phobia proportion, how to eliminate it as a phobia, or if it's just a fear, how to eliminate it. I've worked with lots of people that have never flown their entire lifetime. I was on People Are Talking in Boston, and they flew a woman in who had done a phobia cure on for heights. She went to the top of the Twin Towers in New York, and she flew to Boston to be there. So it's very simple to change. I know it may be hard for you to believe, but as I said, Pepsi-Cola isn't spending $15 million because they're stupid. They know you can change people quickly. And it's only our limiting belief that change takes a long time that stops people.
Go right ahead.
Where does one begin? Was it one man that inspired you, or was it any specific incident that started your trend of following this phase?
Yeah, how does a guy grow up to be a Tony Robbins?
That's a good question.
Well, my background, I think motivation comes from the desire for more than what you got. And I grew up in an environment where I was really nurtured, I think, emotionally by my mom specifically. But also we had a lot of limitations economically, and there were a lot of arguments about that in my family. Most of the arguments were not about excess capital. That's the way I like to explain it. And as a result, I wanted to succeed, and I looked at people who'd had relationships where they'd been married for 25 years and they still loved each other. You know, they were attracted to each other. And I looked at my mom, and this was my fourth father. And I thought, what's the difference? You know, I looked at my father who was working really hard 40 hours a week but was broke, no food on Thanksgiving, and where someone was giving us food. And I looked at friends of mine whose fathers worked less time and they were doing well financially. So I think it comes from being around an environment that triggered me and then finding myself good models. I surrounded myself with good people that taught me other possibilities.
We'll be right back.
Do you know what state had the biggest tax cut in its history last year? If you said Minnesota, you're right. Last year, Governor Rudy Perpich slashed state taxes by $1 billion. He cut taxes on businesses and farm machinery, increased homestead tax credits, and provided property tax relief. But best of all, he cut Minnesota's individual income tax by 25%. Under the leadership of Governor Rudy Perpich, Minnesota is working. Perpich, moving Minnesota forward.
Become a laboratory technician at Lakeland Academy. Start a career in the medical field, helping others. Be a professional. In 12 short months, you'll be ready for work.
I got a job.
I got a job.
I got a job.
We'll help you find a job when you graduate. Call 827-5656. Lakeland Medical Dental Academy. Call 827-5656. Call now. 827-5656.
Can you serve tacos at home that taste like they came from a fine Mexican restaurant? Can you get crispy taco shells made from fresh corn instead of processed corn flour? And a chunky taco salsa with the flavor of sun-ripened tomatoes, fresh onions, and fire-roasted chilies? Yes, for the taste of authentic Mexican food, see Ortega.
See Ortega! See Ortega! See Ortega!
News. It's all around you. But there's one place you can get it best. From people you know and trust. The people of ABC News. From early morning to late at night. Knowledge and depth unparalleled in the industry. The insight of Walters, Brinkley, and Copper. The leadership and experience of Peter Jennings. The people of ABC News. Together, they're uniquely qualified to bring you the world.
You'll find it on Fox.
Unlimited Power is the name of the book. Anthony Robbins, the author. And we have a number about an upcoming, do we have that? Number about an upcoming seminar here in the Twin Cities. There you see it, 619-259-0888, the Robbins Research Institute, if you want to find out more and actually go through this experience. Go right ahead.
That's what I was going to ask. Where are your seminars and how much do you charge for them?
We do them across the country. We'll be coming to the Twin Cities, I believe, in about 90 days. I don't know the actual date yet. And the charge for the seminars, we do a one-evening seminar called Fear into Power, the Firewalk Experience. That's $125. And we do a whole 4-day seminar with NLP, the Fear into Power, and a health seminar. And that's $495 for the entire weekend of 4 days.
What's the key point? I mean, the mind or the body posture and stuff. What is?
The key point is this. Your brain is the most powerful computer on the planet. Properly used, you can create any feeling, any behavior you want. The problem is most people have this incredible computer, but they never got an owner's manual. And the owner's manual is called Unlimited Power. And it'll show you how to use your body and how to use pictures and sounds so that you're in charge of your brain instead of at the effect of the triggers in your environment. And that's my message, how to take charge now.
I have all these books at home on self-esteem and handling things. I'm a Libra, and the big joke of my life has always been my inability to make decisions. And even when as simple as going out to a restaurant. And I was wondering, is there like exercises that I can use like at home? I mean, I don't want to go to a restaurant and sit and close my eyes and visualize things. Is there these type of exercises I can do at home?
Hotel accommodations and dining provided by the Radisson University Hotel, 615 Washington Avenue Southeast on the University of Minnesota East Bank campus. Limousine service for the guest of Twin Cities Live, provided by Henderson Chauffeured Cadillacs. Hair and makeup, courtesy of the Hair Forum, Westbrook Mall, Brooklyn Center.
Tony Robbins is just a tremendous hour. Thanks. Come back and see us again when you come into town. And you never know, you might talk me into getting out on those coals one of these days.
We'll invite
Be
you.
with us tomorrow on Twin Cities Live.